So a little bit about me. I've lived quite a few lifetimes in one life, so I will give you kind of like a verbal resume of some of those things, and then I'll tell you a little bit about my life experiences and how the context of who I am influences how I see education. So I started out my career as an opera singer. I went to my undergrad college to learn how to sing and then shifted from that into musical theater and then into directing theater, and then I added on an English major because I love literature. So I ended up graduating with a Bachelor of Music and a second major in English. And my goal was to go to New York City and become a triple threat actor, singer, dancer on Broadway and then direct. Well, I ended up shifting into education, and I started my educational career working with an alternative school where I worked with 6th through 12th graders. And then I got a master's in secondary education, curriculum, and development. And I opened up a new high school in Virginia, which is where I'm from. And then I opened up a drama department. And then I helped open up a virtual high school, also in Virginia, although it didn't matter because it was virtual. And then I taught for 2 online universities. And then I moved to Colorado about 8 years ago. And since I've been here, I started a not for profit about 5 years ago. And what we do is help, we're like we call ourselves an alternative blueprint for liberation. So, specifically working with women in small circles, like process circles, to help us become more who we are. I actually see this work as very similar to education in that we're working together in community to tell the truth, and to be vulnerable with each other and to learn from each other's perspectives so that we can all become better humans. So I founded that not-for-profit, and I've been working with that for the last 5 years. And then I also started an interior design company with a friend of mine, and so we have been doing real estate staging and design work, which real estate staging is like if you go into a house and there's furniture but nobody lives there, maybe we might have been the ones that put it there. So we're trying to help inspire people to feel like what they're drawn to in a home so that it doesn't just feel like an empty box. And then we also would go into people's places where they live and just help that place reflect more of who they are. A couple other things about me. I have 4 kids. I have 2 dogs, and I have 4 chickens. The dogs, I guess I should start with the kids. The kids, I have a 8th grader, a 7th grader, a 5th grader, and a 3rd grader, and they're all going to be learning online. My partner is also employed by PSD, so there's like a lot of education online happening in this house, like a lot of laptops happening in this house. My 2 dogs are Pema. She's a 7-pound rescue terrier, and she's like scraggly all the time. And then Freya, who is a 5-month-old Bernedoodle. And we got Freya for my youngest son because he was diagnosed with cancer last September and is in remission as of January. So this is kind of pivoting a little bit into some of my life experiences that influence how I am as an educator and how I see the classroom. So, yes, cancer in my youngest, and then my house burnt down actually in 2011 when I was 39 weeks pregnant with this same kiddo who we named Phoenix. We named him Phoenix because he came out of the ashes of our house burning, and then didn't know, obviously, that this name was going to take on even more meaning in his cancer diagnosis as a 7-year-old and how he's moved through that. So I would say that my philosophy of education and my approach to this work as a teacher is with the assumption that we are all fighting hard battles and we are all carrying heavy things. And perhaps especially over the last year, I know for us, moving from cancer into COVID has been really difficult because we have had to stay hypervigilant for a really long time. And we have had to be resilient, and we have had to rely on community in ways that we learned when our house burned down, but have become even more profound with, basically trying to help my son survive. So I see this life as very short, very precious. I see it as something that we're not guaranteed what tomorrow holds. And we really have very little control, even though we try to pretend that we do have control. We have very little. And I think one of the interesting things with living in a pandemic is that this has broken down the illusion of control. And we've had to face, I think, the vulnerability of our humanity, which is really difficult work. And I can't imagine what it is for each of you. I hope I get to know some of what you carry, some of what this last year's been like for you and what you're walking through. But I consider it to be an honor to get to intersect with your life in this unique moment in time to help you become a better human and to give you tools of resiliency and tools to know yourself better so that you can handle this world, because life, frankly, is hard. It's hard to be human, and it is hard to feel. It's hard to be vulnerable, and it's I think especially hard right now. One of my writers, there's Pema, by the way, one of the writers I love, she talks about life being brutal, which is a combination of beautiful and brutal, that it's both and. And a lot of our work this year with literature, with each other, is going to be about how do we sit in the both and let both those things coexist at the same time. That there's going to be beautiful things about doing online education, and there's going to be brutal things that you're just like, ugh, this is overwhelming, and I don't want to do this, and too many learning curves, and all of that can all exist together at the same time. And when it doesn't work is if you are alone in it. And when it does work is when you use your voice to ask for what you need. So that's what I'm here for, and that's what I really hope we build with each other, is the kind of circle where we can ask each other for what we need. Because out of the many, many lessons that cancer has taught me, one of them is how incredible it is, the goodness of humanity when we show up for each other in times of struggle and times of need. Maybe a couple other quick things about me. I like to dance. I like to watch So You Think You Can Dance. I love music. I love making playlists. I love paddleboarding. I love bike riding and hiking and a lot of that like Colorado stuff. I sang opera for my What's Your Weird, so you get to hear that happen. And I'm really passionate about activism and about understanding my privilege and my identity as a white woman, that I have a lot of dominant identities that I know give me blind spots, but I'm on a mission to humble myself and learn as much as I can about how to be a good human to all the humans. So I hope to get to know you better this year.